I am the disabled guy with the disabled life. That podcast is going to be about disabled issues and other things that interest me and others from the disabled community. I did this so that people understand what we go through in life and what we do, because a lot of what we do, it is interesting. I am also going to talk a little bit about ADA and things of that nature. It's something that's very important to me and something that I learned a lot about when I did an episode. I'm going to talk more about it. Okay. This podcast, it's going to come out at 10 p.m. Saturday and Wednesday. So, and so that's when that's when I think most people listen. Most people listen at night or have the episodes there for during for the daytime. So let me stop this. Stop. How are you doing, Maria?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so very much for inviting me onto your show.
And thank you for joining me. I'm going to go ahead and let you talk about meditation.
Okay.
And I'm just going to sit here and listen.
All right. Okay, get ready.
Go ahead.
And hello, everybody. Hello, listeners of Leonard's show here. I'm so thrilled to be here. I am Maria Humphreys. I host a podcast called Strong Body, Strong Soul. And I called it that because I am very passionate about helping people understand that link between our physical bodies and our energetic bodies. And along those lines, meditation is so important. So about 15 years ago, probably, I started teaching meditation, and my meditations are on the Insight Timer app, if any of you guys want to go check it out. But I think that one of the main things about meditation is that it allows you the time to pause and really pay attention to what your body needs, what your body knows sometimes without your mind even realizing how powerful you are. When you don't take the time to notice, you can get really caught up in all of the boxes that society and our lives put on us. It can really cause us to stagnate in our own energy. It can cause depression, anxiety, all that kind of stuff. When we are talking about meditation here with Leonard today, I'm really excited to talk not only about people with disabilities, how meditation might help them, but also how it can help their family members around them.
Because one thing that I do notice is that a lot of disabled people have stress. Like I said in today's episode, there are stresses, but it's different.
Yes.
It's not workday stress, but you're in. If you go to my episode if you go to my Wednesday episode, which is coming out tonight, you're gonna hear my opinion on stress and how I had it.
Yeah, it's great, and every human being has stress in their lives, of course, but I think particularly for people with disabilities, I think society in general, sometimes it can be a struggle. Whether they are completely disabled, not working, or whether they're struggling to keep a job and their employers don't understand how their disabilities may work. So I think meditation can be a huge benefit for people to calm down, find that calm, find that not pointing fingers, whose fault it is and such. And I think there are a lot of kind people out here in the world, but we all know that there are the ones that are not so kind. And that can be really detrimental to anyone, particularly to people with disabilities. So meditation can help you kind of build up your strength to handle the negative that is out there in the world, because we can't escape it. We can only figure out how we're going to react to it.
Let me ask you this. Yes. Do you know what white coat is?
White coat?
White coat syndrome. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
That is when your blood pressure jumps up when you go to the doctor. Because doctors have white coats on.
Uh-huh.
Let me talk to you a little bit about what happened to me during a doctor visit. And then we can go. This is part of meditation, so you can give my listeners some help on how to figure this one out.
Sure.
It's okay. I use Miami-Dade paratransit or public transportation for the disabled.
Mm-hmm.
They were running very late. I had drunk in a cup of coffee prior, so my blood pressure was up. I didn't know it, but you know how I found out something was different? The medical assistant came in, she did my blood pressure, and then she put a pulse ox on me to check my pulse.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why is she doing this? And, and I go, So the doctor came in and she said, your blood pressure is shooting up and your heart is palpitating, right? What is wrong? I said, look, I've had a coffee, plus my transportation was very late and I was stressing about it.
Yes.
So all those things at once. And additionally, when I used to go to the doctor, I used to get sick to the point where my stomach would get sick. You know why that is? Because I was afraid that they were going to always tell me, oh, you're going to have surgery. Now you can understand why I have the white coat.
Yeah. And a lot of people do, whether it's a medical doctor or a dental, right?
Dentist.
I just had a root canal recently.
Ouch.
And I really, though, was very aware of the ability I had to use my breath to slow down and maintain that relaxed state, because they had the equipment in my mouth, holding my mouth open. And, it was so uncomfortable for a very long time.
Yep.
So I had to really maintain my composure and stay still.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. Do you want me to give you a little bit of an exercise that you could do if you are in that kind of high anxiety, stressful state?
I would appreciate it because, yes, when I go to the doctor, I get stressed out.
Yes, yes. And a lot of your listeners probably can relate to the same thing.
As a matter of fact, I go to, I don't know if you have them called, they call them One Blood, where you donate blood. But I donate because of a medical condition called polycythemia vera. So they have to get rid of it, but sometimes they can't do it because there's no doctors, they're just nurses or techs, and they're not allowed to do it if your blood pressure is above a certain, you know what I mean?
Yes.
That is very annoying when they do that. So go ahead.
Well, is your blood pressure because of your condition of your blood?
No, it's
Is
just,
it a little higher than most because you have too much blood? Because
Yeah.
I've heard of that condition. It's not uncommon.
yes, it could be that.
Yeah. Yeah, your numbers are different than most people.
Yeah.
So if you are treated at a hospital, for instance, that doesn't know you or your history, they might read your blood pressure as higher.
Right, I know.
But they don't realize that's your normal, that's your baseline.
Yeah, it's a little higher than normal.
Yeah, and everybody's different. But I would say one of the easiest, fastest way to bring down your heart rate and your blood pressure and focus is it's breathing.
Yeah.
3 times. But I'm going to tell you a particular way to do it that
Right.
might help you. And what I ask people that I work with to do is
Right.
use their fingers to count their breaths. Because when you use your hand and you touch your thumb to your forefinger,
Like
your
such?
middle finger,
Yeah.
yep, forefinger, middle finger, and ring finger.
Right.
Those 3 spots. Each time you inhale, you touch one finger, and the next inhale, you do the next one,
Right.
and the third one the same.
Right.
The reason that it is so helpful
Right.
to do this finger counting is because it causes you to focus on your physical body
Yeah.
and to bring your focus on your body, on your proprioceptive. It's where your body is in space, right? Like connection with your physical body will slow you down.
Let me ask you this one.
And- yeah.
You have you ever done guided meditation for somebody, or you don't do that?
Yes.
Because I know some people that do it with chimes and things. I'm like, why do they need all this
Hmm.
noise?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, let me tell you the rest of this
Yeah,
particular
go ahead.
exercise,
Yeah.
and then I'll tell you some of the varieties
Right.
of types of meditations that are available out there.
Yeah.
But the number one to go to
Uh-huh.
lower your anxiety is to do the
Oh.
3 breaths, inhale and exhale.
Right.
But you want to have your exhale be twice as long as your inhale.
Wow.
And people don't realize that.
Why is
In
that?
today's world, well, we're moving so fast in our lives
Right.
today. And when we have high anxiety, it causes our breathing to be even faster and more shallow, right? Almost like
Which makes sense.
hyperventilating. You're worried. You're going to be late. The doctor's almost here. He's going to give you a shot. Something's going to go wrong. Your breathing is affected.
Right.
So when you inhale, if you concentrate on exhaling completely, you can relax. You will feel your shoulders, your neck, your entire body relax into the exhale.
Right.
And if you do that just 3 times even, that can have a big impact. But it's that exhale longer. And also, Leonard, there is a slight pause in between each inhale and exhale.
Yeah, because you don't want to
And
hyper.
we tend to forget that pause, literally not breathing,
Right.
is healthy, is important,
Right.
and is that stillness,
Right.
that thinking and about that stillness between the breaths
Right.
also gives you great clarity and a calming energy that
Right.
can help you.
How long have you been doing this meditation coaching type things?
About 15 years, I would say. And I started it because I had serious depression. Postpartum depression really got me
Oh my God.
years ago. And meditation really helped me. I grew up in a religious family.
Right.
And sometimes we use the words meditation and prayer interchangeably.
And they're not.
Sometimes one of those words can be a little scary to some people,
Right.
and others, vice versa.
Right.
At our church, they do a Tuesday night meditation. And some of the people in the church are still a little bothered by that term. They would prefer it's called a prayer group. But it's such an emotional attachment to
Right.
these preconceived ideas about what meditation is.
Right.
I always make sure to remind people it is not a religion.
Right.
It is not something that has a book of
Yeah.
theology and rules. It actually, meditation can absolutely work hand in hand with organized religion if that's what a person enjoys. You work it into your everyday life, whether you believe in God or not. The energy, your heart rate, your blood pressure, the physical proof that controlling your breathing, your thoughts does matter.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one thing I've thought about is what is the difference between the Tibetan meditation and what we do here in the West? Do you have any idea?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. Every culture has a variety of different types of meditations as well. The meditation that I learned, the first one that I started teaching is one that I learned from India. And the one from India and my teachers, my spiritual guides, all led me to this type of meditation.
Yeah.
And it is a chanting meditation, actually. I am very much of an audio file, right? I love audio my entire life. I'm very much about music, about nature, about waves.
Right.
Sound is very important to me. But earlier in my life, I did a lot of yoga. I did a lot of guided meditation. but I could never follow the teacher when they were trying to guide me through a meditation. Because when they would say, imagine you're on a beach somewhere, my mind would be like, what the heck? I'm in a forest. I would be somewhere different than what they said.
Oh.
So I never got into meditation because I thought I needed to follow along with the imagination or the guidance of the teacher all of the time.
You don't have to.
And you do not have to, particularly with the chanting meditation. For me, having a particular sound or mantra to
Right.
focus on allows me to put all my energy into that sound, and that vibration itself
Right.
affects my energy and clears me. And I think a lot of people in the world don't realize how powerful their own voice is.
Right. One of the things that I did today is I made an episode talking about what you do, and it's going to precede you. It's coming up Wednesday, and this one's coming up on Saturday.
Okay.
I just do that. So I'm gonna send you the link to this, so you can use it. And if you want to use it in meditation, if you want to use it, however you want to use it, I'm sending you the link.
Okay, fantastic. And along those lines, I would say, as far as the chanting goes,
Right.
and the practice that I learned, like I said, is from India. But, for example, Deepak Chopra is from India.
I've heard of that
He
name.
teaches, right? He teaches a very similar
Right.
type mantra, chanting meditation, talking about the chakra system, which one for which sound. But he says his sounds differently than the India meditation that I learned.
Right.
I say, for instance, on the heart chakra, we say yang with a Y-A-N-G.
Right.
And Deepak Chopra can say yam with an M.
Like yum, like.
So it's
Yeah.
different.
Yeah.
Yes, but that is such a beautiful example of meditation is not tied to human vocabulary either.
No.
It's the vibration itself that matters, not the word. You can feel the energy.
Yeah.
You don't have to know what it means. A lot of people get their notebooks out and they want to take notes and such. And the best way to learn how to meditate is to put all of that to the side.
Don't use any of that. Just go there with an open mind.
Yeah. And I mean, educate yourself, of course, whatever your comfort level is.
Right.
But I find a lot of times when people are so intent upon learning meditation, they want to know right away, what are the benefits? What is it going to do for me?
Right, no.
And they read every single book out there.
No.
And they're in a constant state of grasping for more information, when if they would slow down and gravitate to just a few even of the pieces of knowledge that they might have studied,
Right.
and take the time and allow them to do their work, those teachings, whatever they may be.
One thing why I brought you on is because the meditation that I knew was that meditation that they do with a chime and a stick. I'm like, what? Yeah, some people do that.
Yeah, and there are sound bowls. I have many sound bowls.
That's what I mean.
use.
A sound bowl. Sorry, it was a sound bowl.
Well, no, but it is true. There are sound bath meditations
Right.
that you can go to that are fantastic. They can use a variety of instruments,
The stick.
such as the sound bowls or the sticks, the rain sticks.
Right.
They can use bells and chimes, all sorts of sounds.
Yeah, because
And that's what I mean. That's why it really speaks to anyone,
Right.
regardless of their language.
Right.
The sound is key.
it is. I love sound. I love music. I love in order to do a podcast, you have to love sound,
Yes.
because you're dealing with sound all the time,
Yes.
and you have to love your own sound too.
Yes.
Because what's in my head? My sound.
Yes. But I will say, Leonard, especially for you and I know each other through the podcast
Right.
group on Facebook.
Right.
podcast support community for any of you
Yeah.
who are interested.
Mm-hmm.
But there are 20,000 people in there, and many of them are brand new podcasters. And one of the things they often say is, I don't like the sound of my own voice. But when you realize
Mm-hmm.
that your voice, your energy, your words are going to help someone else, it gives you a newfound appreciation of your own voice
Like I
and
said,
your own power.
like I said in my intro, what did I just say there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm doing this to help somebody to.
Exactly. Exactly. I also want to say, for me personally, some of the material that I put out there into the world,
Mm-hmm.
the meditations that I produce,
Right.
they help me as well. So I want to remind anyone who's out here,
Mm-hmm.
any
Yeah.
teacher is always learning from their students. But sometimes also a teacher is creating things that they need to hear perhaps in the future. Sometimes I can listen to my own podcast, Leonard, and I can think to myself, when I'm in a down place in my life, I can listen to an old episode and I can think, wow, I'm really capable of speaking like that.
What is your
And it
podcast?
reminds me.
Right. What is your podcast schedule? If there is one.
Well, I'm on hiatus. The podcast is called Strong Body, Strong Soul. The last episode that I did release was about scuba diving because I'm a scuba diver. And so it's that link between scuba diving and the spiritual connection that I feel when I'm at depth. Speaking of which, by the way, let's get back to disability for a moment.
Right. Yeah.
I have a friend of mine who is paralyzed. He was a firefighter. And he was in a house that was burning, and he broke his spine. His legs don't work. He's able to go scuba diving now. They have equipment that he can hold on to with his hands. And he was a scuba diver before the accident. So he already was certified. He probably could learn, even for anybody out there that's has some sort of disability like this. It is possible. They have these contraptions that you hold on to, like a little jet ski, but under the water at depth, right? Like James Bond. And so that device is able to propel him through the water, even though he can't kick.
Did he have to be certified?
Yes. Yeah. It was actually an additional certification to use this particular device. And it was funny because he was telling me that he loves it. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
But he said the only problem is that he goes much faster than his wife and kids do. So he has to slow down to stay with the group.
You know, that would be.
But he loves it.
That would be an interesting person for me to talk to.
Yeah.
Honestly, yes.
Yeah.
Because he's doing a sport that most disabled people don't know.
Exactly. And depending on your disability, of course, there are all sorts of different kinds of sports that you can do that you may not have ever tried.
Right. Like I was doing, I'm going to do some more research on it. You know, there's shooting competition for the disabled.
Oh, like with a rifle?
With guns, with rifles, with whatever.
Yeah.
Yes.
Interesting.
I didn't know about that until I stumbled upon it because I was doing research on sports for the disabled. Yeah. Things.
Well, and tell me, Leonard, you have cerebral palsy, right?
Yes.
So what you're able to hold, you could do a rifling contest. You're in control of your hands and your arms.
I actually, let me give you a little bit of a tidbit. I actually went to a course that the hunting officials.
Okay.
They put out a course where I was able to certify shoot rifles and things of that nature. It's enough of a certification that just using that, I was able to get my concealed.
Oh, wow.
I proved that I have that, and he said, okay, here's the paper, go.
Yeah.
See, so I was the only disabled person in the class.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Well, how interesting, too, because on some of those, I don't think they do enough of a psychological exam on people
No.
when they do sell guns too.
No.
But you are a perfect example of a person with a disability. Perhaps your speech is great,
Right.
but someone who doesn't know you might hear you a little and be suspicious, but you are all there. There's nothing psychological crazy
No.
there,
No.
but they might be scared because you're disabled,
No.
and that's not fair either.
No. I'll tell you a funny story that happened to me. I was in the mall one day. Mom went shoe shopping, and I just stayed outside. I stayed outside, and this little girl, 3 years old, 2 years old, let me say that, came up, started touching my wheelchair. I'm like, okay, I don't understand this, but okay, let me flow with this. And then a teenager came right up and pulled her away. And I
As
said,
if she was scared of you?
no, she was
The
afraid.
teenager was.
Yeah, she was afraid.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
So I said, excuse me, why did you do that? She goes, oh, because I thought you were going to react in the wrong way. I said, there's a thing. And this was after I found them and I followed them. And I went and I bought a soda so I could talk to her because, it's chaos. So I told her, I understand what you're doing, but here's the thing. I was born disabled. So I don't know any different. Like your friend that's a firefighter that you know? I don't know if he's your friend or not, but I said that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and it was an accident
Right.
that caused his disability.
Right. So he was not born disabled. He might have been angry at the beginning. Why this happened
Yeah.
to me?
Yeah.
You see, so I'm like, it's like, why this happened? But what I say is, it's not everybody that's a bad person.
Right.
Because some people get upset and mad because they don't like this.
Right.
But I know.
Well,
I know it.
yeah. Yeah. And Leonard, that is such an important topic.
Right.
And I think I don't have much time today, but I think we should do a whole show. If you want to, I'm willing to come back again about how we view people with disabilities.
Right. No, yeah.
Because that's an important conversation. And that is one of the reasons why I have a podcast. That's why I support so many people that do want to start podcasts, because I believe everybody, obviously, is so different. And the more we talk about those differences, the more we show our children how we behave with other people who are different, the better example we set.
I'll be glad to bring you back aboard if that's what you want to do.
The whole thing is such an important conversation.
I have no problem bringing you back aboard.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
That's why I offered to you. Yeah, I think it was yesterday that I would come on a Zoom call with you and show my equipment off, so people know how easy it is.
Right. And we can do that another time.
Yeah.
But for right now, I would just say for anyone out there, whether you have a disability or not, take the time to do that breathing exercise that I was talking about at the beginning here. Because exhaling more than you inhale is such a gift to yourself and to those that you love that are around you. Because you're lowering your anxiety will affect how you treat other people.
Right.
It's a gift for everyone.
Let me make this point, and then I'll end the podcast. Okay. And then you can show me your roadcaster, because I've never seen one of those up close. Okay. This podcast is a COVID hobby. You know why I say it's a COVID hobby?
You started it then?
Because everything that I use, all of my volunteer work, everything shut down. And I was bored at home. I was like, what the hell do I do? What the heck do I do?
Right.
And that's how I found it. You know how I started it? On a tablet with a little microphone. With a little lapel.
Yeah.
That's how I started it.
Yeah.
But
well, you know what, Leonard, I'm going to say something else too that might help people. It's not meditation related, but for you and for many people out there, speaking of COVID, social audio Social audio is a fantastic way
Right.
to connect with other people around the planet.
Right, no.
Social audio is on a number of different platforms, but I really encourage anybody out there, if you are feeling isolated in any way, try and find out about where you can get involved on social audio from where you are.
Right, no.
Because using your voice to communicate is such a basic human need. And if you feel like you can't speak, it will squish your energy even more. And there are people all over the world. Leonard, there are people on the X platform that are having conversations about disabilities and such. You would find huge benefit by being on X, on those social audio spaces.
Right.
You could find people to be on your podcast. You can network and find guests and have conversations that might uplift other people and yourself.
As a matter
It's
of fact,
really amazing.
I've been doing some. I've done some X.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, talking about my podcast, but I don't know if they want to hear that because they're not having much traction. It's just one or two people.
They're not going to want to hear about your podcast because it's going to seem like it's a marketing reason that
Right.
you're having a space.
Right.
You want to have a space that where you are trying to help other people.
I was doing it as a promotional.
You can say cerebral palsy. Do you feel lonely or something?
Yeah.
You could title that as a space.
Right.
I guarantee you there are people on the X platform that have cerebral palsy or other types of disabilities that might see the title of your space and want to talk to you.
Yeah, because I think I was doing the wrong thing from what you're saying, and I was using it as
Yeah.
a promotional tool.
Correct. Don't do that. Yeah.
I was doing that as a promotional tool, and I'm like,
Yeah, because people don't know who you are and they are not familiar with your show yet. So you need to pick topics that will impact
that are
a
not.
variety of the population that's on there. And I guarantee you also,
Right.
not only people with disabilities, but also, like I said at the beginning, parents,
Yeah.
siblings, friends, employers. There are a lot of people out there in the world. Chances are they've had an interaction with a disabled
Right.
person, especially autism, by the way, is a huge. Yesterday was National Autism Day,
Oh, it's not
but
fair.
it should be every day. There are
Right.
so many people, neurodivergent, all
Right.
that kind of stuff is so important to talk about.
Let me say.
There is huge opportunity for conversations.
Let me
that
say
are
this, and then
important out there.
then I'll end on this point. I was going to end on
Yeah.
this point, but this point, okay. I am also a volunteer examiner for amateur radio. Which means I have the privilege and authorization to proctor a test. This is a good and a bad thing. I'll say, because 99.9% of the time, I'm the only one in a wheelchair, and people identify me. Yes.
Yeah,
But it also shows people you can do what you want to do.
exactly. Don't let it hold you back. You're so impressive, really, Leonard.
Yeah. At this point, I'm going to throw my outro in there.
Okay.
If you want to end at this point.
Bye, everybody. What,
We can actually end at this point if you wish.
what are you editing with? Audacity?
Oh, yes, Audacity.
Yeah, I love Audacity.
Yeah.
Okay, so thank you once again, Leonard, for having me on your show.
Right.
And listeners out there, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Right, let me throw that in there. Thank you for listening to my episodes. My episodes will come out Monday and Wednesday. You can listen to me on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and many others, including iHeartRadio. The reason I've done this podcast is to give people a voice. Because I think that the disabled community is missing a voice. But I am in a unique position of being able to afford minimal equipment to do this. I'm going to give you my email address. If you want to contact me, is ke4key@gmail.com. And I will also, you can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, at The Disabled Guy, and a few other places where I put my episodes out on Facebook too. With that, thank you for listening.